What is up? What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and we are back with some Colorado Rockies franchise series here on Out of the Park Baseball 22. Just a quick recap of the postseason. You can see that it was a rematch of the 2023 World Series between the Angels and the Braves, and this time the Angels won last year in 7 games. This year the Braves get their revenge. They win in 6 games. It was actually a really wild way, the Braves getting into the World Series to begin with. If we go to the NLCS, it went 7 games. The Braves defeated the Mets 18-17, which was wild. You see that the Braves took an early 1-0 lead. The Braves put up 3 runs in the third. The Braves battled back. Mets put up 6 runs in the fourth, so now they're up 9-4. The Braves do get 2 back in the bottom half of the frame. The Mets put up 5 in the top of the 6th inning. The Braves really battled back in the bottom of 7th. They put up an 8 spot. Then they put up 3 more runs to go up 17-14. The Mets tie it up in the top of the 9th. Michael Conforto hitting a 3-run shot against Aroldis Chapman, tying it up at 17 apiece. And then in the bottom of the 9th, Marcell Ozuna hit a run-scoring double, and they win Game 7, 18-17. The Braves do one of the craziest games I've ever seen, postseason or not, I've ever seen in my time playing Out of the Park Baseball. So that was really neat. And then the Braves used the momentum to win the 2024 World Series. So before I go any further, before I read the comments, just want to give y'all kind of an update, kind of bring y'all into the loop, because I did see a comment about why there weren't more OOTP videos last week. Last week was just a busy week for me, my personal life, but in general, moving forward, I work for a minor league baseball team, and the way that works, for those of you that might not be aware, is that the season actually starts tonight. I'm recording this on May 4th, so it actually starts tonight. And the way that our schedule kind of works out is that we'll be home for a week or 2 at a time, and then the team goes on the road. Then they'll be back for another week or 2 at a time, and then they go back on the road. Just alternates back and forth like that until September. And that's when the season ends. So the weeks that we are at home and I'm working a lot of the games, there might only be one OTP video that week. But with the weeks that they're on the road, I'm not really doing too much. There might be more than one. There probably will be more than one. So I just want to give you all an update. If there's only one video in a week, it's probably because the team's at home. So I just wanted to give you all a bit of an update on that. But before we get into the offseason, let's see what the assistant GMs of the YouTube community have to say about the Colorado Rockies. My biggest thing for you going into the offseason is actually a catcher. You need at least 2 guys with 70-plus catcher ability and arguably a 3rd guy to have ready in the minors. It's so detrimental to your pitching staff success, especially playing at Coors. You need to put guys like Delgado and Leiter in as good of a position as possible early in their careers. You can afford to have lesser production at the plate from your catcher because you know your offense will be fine, and pitching is always the biggest thing in Colorado. Catcher ability, the higher the better. And don't think you could have asked for much else from your pitching, really. Having guys like King at the back of your rotation to eat innings and not give up too many runs is about all you can hope for. Delgado's numbers look solid in his first few starts. Hopefully he can transfer this to next season. If you could pick up a real ace for the top of your order and some improvements in bats, you can definitely make a better run next season. Agree with other comments, trading Ohtani. Tough finish. I think trading Ohtani is probably the way to go. The drop in his offensive production is kind of alarming, and he wasn't that great as a pitcher. If you can get even one good upper-level prospect for him, I think it would be worth it. Look forward to seeing what you do in the offseason. The team needs a major retool. I think we should sell some of our major league talent for upper minors, AA or AAA prospects, and try to take a run at it in 2 to 3 more years. You're in a tough position every year with your division, so you have to be smart when you decide to go for it. These are all good points. I'll address the catcher one first. Our owner wanted us to get an upgraded catcher, and we just didn't get that this year. Unfortunately, Drew Romo started off horrendously at the plate, so we opted to try to get a little more offense to kickstart that. We went with Dom Nunez, and he kind of flamed out. He's on the injured list right now, but there he is, yeah. So he kind of flamed out as the season went on. He was OPSing really high up, and I mean, an 867 OPS out of the catcher is fine, but the 55 grade catcher ability, it's not super great, and you can see that he BABIP'd at a 364 clip, which was way above what he had done in his career prior to this season. So maybe this is a guy that we look to trade, a cost-controllable catcher that, you know, maybe some team wants the offense more so than the defense, because I really want Romo to be our catcher of the future with the 70-grade catcher ability. The arm, I'm not super concerned about that. But if Romo could just really solidify himself, if he could be a positive value player, because you could see he was worth negative 0.8 WAR, which is not good at all. and that was coming off of a season when he was worth negative 0.7 WAR. So I really need him to just solidify himself as the everyday catcher. He doesn't need to be great offensively, but I really need him to get an OPS better. He needs to get it at least into the 600s. That would be great. I'm not asking for like 800 OPS, but like I just need like a little more out of him offensively to complement the defense. So hopefully he can do that. Pitching wise, yeah, it would be nice to find an ace. That's always going to be the goal. We do have Delgado later for the long term, but we will need to try to find somebody. Ohtani, I think it would probably be a good idea to try to get any value we could have out of him because he was very disappointing. That's not what I expected when I signed him to that 4-year, $81.5 million contract. I don't know if anyone's going to be interested in him. I hope they are. I hope we're not stuck with him, but it's really disappointing. I really thought that he would work out, and he started off well at the plate and as a pitcher, and then he just heavily regressed. It seemed month by month, really. So I think Ohtani is probably going to be moved this offseason. That'll probably be a trade we look into. Retooling, I'm not totally against. He makes a good point that, I mean, I was optimistic coming into the season, and even getting Alex Bregman, I thought that would help us make a playoff push, and it almost did. We finished 5 games out. As I said at the end of the last episode, that 6-18 stretch towards the start of the season really killed us. Like if we just go 500, if we just go 12-12, we would have made the playoffs. Now, what would we have done if we made the playoffs? I mean, I don't know. We probably don't get very far, but at least we would have gotten a playoff berth. That would have made me feel pretty good. But overall, we have to consider all options. So we know we're not going to bring Alex Bregman back, so that's something that we're going to have to replace definitely. We're going to have to replace Ohtani both in the lineup and in the pitching rotation. Hopefully, we'll get a better option at both of those spots. They can't be any worse, but we will see. We'll see who's available in the offseason. So let's sim ahead here. The season is over. Your season score this year is 523. This is a very fine score, Frank. Good job. So now our reputation is decent, which is nice. So let's go ahead here and go to mail and news. Let's see what our owner says. Review of season goals. Well, you didn't make the playoffs this year. You should still be very happy about an 82-80 record. Not really. You exceeded what I expected from this team, and I have a good feeling about future Rockies success. I'm glad you do. I'm sorry, but I don't really see the upgrade I asked you for a catcher. Neither do I. I appreciate a better effort next time I ask things of you. Thank you for bringing in Shohei Ohtani. When I told you I wanted a nationally popular player, I knew you were not going to let me down. Well, he sucked. I had to go back through a message to see what goal I had set for attendance. I see that we're almost there. Keep up the good work, and I have little doubt you complete this goal next year. You can't rebuild a group overnight, but keep looking for opportunities to bring the guys you drafted to the team. The years they spent through the organization should serve them well. I gave you a goal in 2021 to make the playoffs in a few seasons. My deadline is not up, but it's very close. It's a tough road. I know. Oh, Blink-182. Kind of sounding lyric there. And I think I can make out some movement towards that playoff spot. Hopefully we can do better next year. I am good with your performance in accomplishing the goals I have given you. I feel similarly about your handling of the team's on-field and front office management. Goals for the future now: play 500 ball again, increase attendance from 37,166 to 44,800, bring more drafted players to the team, make the playoffs by 2026. So we got a new budget, $200 million. I think that went down again. I think we were at 206 last year, so now it went down. Bueller's trying to become a doctor. Which is, he retired. Okay. When did that happen? He retired. Oh my goodness! Wow. So Walker Buehler retired to pursue a PhD. Wow. Okay, that is not what I expected to happen in this save, but okay, cool. So that's neat. The top 100 prospect list, Delgado ended the season at number 4, but he's going to be up with us next year, so he's going to graduate from that list. So let's see who got fired. The Twins have a new owner in Pat Bailey. Aaron Boone got fired from the Yankees. So did Brian Cashman. Let's see, Tampa Bay. Kevin Cash got let go. Rick Hahn got let go. Rocco Baldelli was let go. David Forst from Oakland. Jerry DiPoto from Seattle. James Click for the Houston Astros. Mike Rizzo, the general manager in Washington, is gone. A lot of people gone. Oh, my goodness. David Bell out in Cincinnati. Torey Lovullo out in Arizona. And Mike Hazen out also in Arizona. This was not a good offseason for a lot of people. Yikes. least we still have our jobs, though. So let's take a look at salary arbitration. We already know that we're not going to bring back Alex Bregman, as I said, and we can't give him a qualifying offer. He doesn't qualify for that. So we're not going to bring him back. So let's start here. I would like to bring Michael King back. I would like to bring Clark Schmidt back. Tommy Doyle, I'll probably let go. Although for $1 million, he might be a good arm just to try to keep at AAA if we can. Does he have options left? He has 2 options left, so he might be a good guy just to keep around. He is a power pitcher. He didn't do super great this year. He did better the previous 2 years. He kind of faltered a little bit this year. So maybe we try to bring Doyle back. Finnegan, I think we're going to let go. With us, he wasn't too bad with us. It wouldn't be bad, I guess, just to keep these guys as, just depth. Nunez, we're going to let go. So we're going to withdraw the offer. Calhoun, he wasn't too bad in limited playing. Well, he was a negative value player. He had 15 home runs. He was our Rule 5 draft pick. We're going to let him go too. Aaron Altair, we're going to let go. Let's get some new bench guys for next year. Matt Barnes, he's 34. We're not going to bring back Barnes or Diekman. Castillo on the right deal, I wouldn't be against bringing back, although, yeah, not for that. So we're not going to bring him back. Reyes, we're going to let test the free agent market, and the reason I'm doing that, as I said in the last episode, he did hit 38 home runs, but I really figured a guy like him would have had a better OPS, not 790. So we're going to try to find a better option because, yeah, I'd like to think with that kind of money we can get somebody a little better. So, and we have to cut budget as it is. So, let's see what some of these guys... Actually, I kind of want to see first with Nunez. All right, so I found a Dom Nunez deal that we're going to do. We go back to the Cardinals. It seems like we've done a lot of trades with the Cardinals already. But we traded Dom Nunez, Tony Losi, Brandon Sproat, who was the number 82 prospect in baseball, Ben Cruikshank, and Nick Biasi. So just a large package of pitchers that I didn't really like too much. And we get Ali Sanchez, who is another 70-grade catcher, but who seems like could be a little better offensively than Drew Romo. He's coming off of a severe hip strain, which is going to be a risk, but now we have 2 70-plus catchers in terms of catcher ability on the roster. And we have a guy in Ali Sanchez who... I think will probably end up being the opening day starter, but we can just go between them depending on who's doing a little better offensively at the time, just because they're both the same in terms of the ability. So that was who I wanted. Then I wanted to get some young guys from the Cardinals as well. So we get Gunnar Henderson, this third baseman. It seems like he could be pretty solid with the bat. I don't know if he's going to stick at third with a 60-grade arm, but he has a high work ethic. The low adaptability is a little bit of a concern, but he's hit pretty well in the minors at almost all stops. He's coming off of a season where he had an 848 OPS to AA at 23 years of age. So that was a guy that I wanted to get, only 23 years old, so he might be a big part of our lineup in the future at some position. I don't know what. We get Alec Burleson, a guy that doesn't have a lot of power or a very good eye, but it seems like he could be really good hitting-wise. I mean, the OSA ratings have him at 50-grade power, which would be phenomenal. But it seems like he could be really good contact hitter, which, I mean, if he's gonna hit, I don't care, especially playing in Colorado. I don't know if he would really stick in the outfield. His defensive ratings are a little rough, but I think that if nothing else, he could be a really good guy to keep on the bench and just, substitute in every now and then, because his only expectation is playing in the majors. Normally when you do that, they just want to be a bench player. And I think for a guy like this would be a pretty solid guy to have on the bench. I mean, I don't really, when I think of DH, I kind of think more power than what Burleson has. But regardless, I think that this guy could be a pretty solid addition to the team in some capacity. Then we got another outfielder who could be, this is a guy maybe that I could play in the outfield a little more. This is John Torres, who's 24 years old. You can see that he has 60-grade power. The hitting ratings as a whole aren't super bad. He does have some speed to his game. He is slow to catch on, which is a little worrisome, but this is a guy that I could probably stick in right field and not be too upset about. He just had an 816 OPS, 20 home runs at AA at 24 years old. So I thought this was a good trade to make. I was just initially trying to find a catcher to swap with Nunez. I was just going to do a catcher for catcher swap. But then I saw that the Cardinals had some younger guys that were kind of interesting. So now we get those guys into the organization, which I'm happy about. I mean, that's what I'm talking about with Alec Burleson. His on-base percentage, 372. He hit 332. So that's That's pretty cool. So we wanted to get him in there. Gunnar Henderson, I mean, come on, his name is Gunnar. Like, he's going to be good, obviously. But we'll see if any of these young guys kind of help us out a little bit. If nothing else, they're going to be cheap, which is big. And that's going to be, we have to cut budget somehow. So that's why, I mean, we weren't going to bring Dom Nunez back, so I kind of wanted just to do that. Ali Sanchez is also an arbitration eligible player, but this is definitely a guy that I would not mind bringing back. So we'll try to get him for under arbitration. Okay, so he wanted 900,000. We'll get him for 875. So withdraw that offer. All right, I just wanted to give a bit of an update before the awards start flying in. So we just did salary arbitration. So we got the guys back that we wanted. We got Tommy Doyle for $1 million. We got Clark Schmidt for 925,000. Michael King wanted a multi-year deal, but I just wanted to give him a 1-year deal. And so he's going to make $4 million this season. That's a tradable contract if we want to move him. Kyle Finnegan we got for 850,000, which isn't too bad. We'll just keep him around. Ali Sanchez we got for 875,000. And we just gave guys some minor league extensions. Like there's John Torres right there. So that was basically everybody that we wanted to get back for the most part. There's a couple other minor leaguers I'm waiting on, but we're going to let Calhoun go, Altera go. We're going to let Castillo, Diekman, and Reyes at the free agent market. I released Barnes just to make a roster spot for Nunez so I could trade him. And then we're going to let Bregman go. So I'm going to simulate up ahead here. We'll get past the awards, and then we will get into the free agency, I guess. All right, free agency filings have happened, so now we've reached that part of the offseason. We'll take a look here at the awards. So Gold Gloves in the AL went Kyle Wright, Carson Kelly, Michael Toglia, the guy that we traded to the Yankees. He did not do well offensively at all in 424 plate appearances, a 651 OPS. He was a negative value player. So I guess that trade worked out for us. Ahmed Rosario, Matt Chapman, Francisco Lindor, Spencer Torkelson, Byron Buxton, and Joe Adell. In the National League, it was Marcus Stroman, JT Realmuto, Eric Hosmer, Nate Allen, Nolan Arenado, Nick Ahmed, Adam Hazy. A lot of Phillies, a lot of National League East guys. It's like all National League East guys outside of Stroman and Hosmer and Arenado. Wow, okay. Pache and Juan Soto. Reliever of the year in the AL was Trevor Rosenthal. Bizarro, Birdie, and Karinchak got up votes as well. Edward Cabrera got National League Reliever of the Year. And then you had Chad Green, and Anderson. In American League Silver Slugger Award winners, you had Salvador Perez, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Andres Jimenez, Jose Ramirez, Lindor, Gurriel Jr., Austin Hayes, Riley Green, Ramon Urias. And then in the National League, you had Luis Campusano, Giancarlo Stanton, who's playing first base for the Dodgers now, Ozzie Albies, Manny Machado, Corey Seager, Lolo Sanchez, Cody Bellinger, Ronald Acuna Jr., and Nolan Gorman. And AL Rookie of the Year was Robert Moore of the Chicago White Sox. And then you had Mayer, Frelick, Gambrell, and Michael Toglia got 1 point, so good for him. National League Rookie of the Year was Miguel Vargas, and then Justin Turner. Justin Turner, come on, you're not fooling anybody. That's just Justin Turner from before. You're not fooling anybody. Roberto Ramos and Jake McCarthy. Ramos always turns out well. Yeah, a 746 OPS isn't super great. Hit 33 home runs. He always turns out pretty well as a power hitter. Hospital named a wing in honor of DJ LeMahieu. That's nice. Top skipper in the American League was the Angels manager Luke Carlin. In the National League, it went to Dave Roberts again. AL Cy Young was Shane Bieber, Nate Pearson, AJ Puck, Kyle Quantrill, Takayasu Takai, and Eduardo Rodriguez got votes as well. National League Cy Young was Trevor Bauer, and then you had Justice Sheffield, who's now on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Sixto Sanchez, Trevor Rogers, Jack Flaherty, Michael Baez, Michael Lorenzen, Mike Soroka. And the MVP was Riley Green for the Detroit Tigers, 24 years old. Yeah, it seems like he had a pretty good season for Detroit. Wow. Yep. 27 home runs, 100 runs batted in, 333 batting average, 423 on base percentage. He almost won the he was pretty close to winning the Triple Crown, I guess, with numbers like that. So, and in the National League, it was Ronald Acuna. Did we get anybody who got votes? Robles got some votes. Magical Endeavors got some votes. That's neat. So at least we got some MVP votes, which is cool. Yohan Moncada filed for free agency. This is not a guy that we're going to sign, but that is that. International free agents enter the market. We'll see if there's anybody worth it this year. This guy would be kind of interesting, only for $13 million. We haven't really had like a stud international free agent yet, really. And looks like that's going to continue this year. This left fielder looks pretty good. Whoa, 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 whoa. This left fielder looks pretty good. He only wants $1 million. What does the OSA have to say about him? That's only worth $1 million? Really? I feel like we got to sign that guy. So we're going to probably try to sign Danny Chacon. Because he's only 24 years old, too. Those ratings look pretty damn good for only $1 million. Is that does he only want, really? A minor league contract? Yeah. Come on, get over here. Get your behind over here. All right, so free agents. Apparently the Yankees are going to, or the Mets are going to try to sign Shane Bieber. Oh, so Shane Bieber's a free agent. Okay. Wow, this is a pretty good free agent class. Let's take a look here for reports and info and free agents. So we have $23 million to play with. We'll go to all players. Filter, clear. Nope. We want to just clear the filters. Okay, and there we go. So Shane Bieber is the prize of this year's free agency class, 29 years of age, a ground ball pitcher. This would be a wonderful guy to bring into Coors, but we are not going to have the money for him. So that would be pretty cool. So we're going to have to try to find some guys a little cheaper. So let's take a look and see, as always, what we're going to need here. So let's just clear the line. Actually, before we do any of that, we need to try to find a package for Shohei Ohtani. So let's try to find a trade package for Ohtani here. Okay. I found the Shohei Ohtani deal, and I need y'all to understand, because you're going to see it and you're going to be like, what did this guy just do? Ohtani had no trade value. I didn't want him on the team anymore. I wanted the financial flexibility. And because nobody offered anything, nobody even wanted to dump a contract on me, a long-term veteran contract for Shohei Ohtani. Nobody wanted the guy. I guess because of the contract that I gave him. So that was a mistake. That's what I'm talking about. I make mistakes all the time playing out of the park baseball. So, it's just, this is something that we just have to deal with. So I'm going to explain a trade in a second. So we traded Ohtani to the Chicago Cubs along with Clark Schmidt, Victor Robles, and Loop Arcilla for cash considerations. Now, the reason I traded Schmidt is because I got him as an innings eater. He ate innings. I can get another 2-win pitcher very easily. I can find somebody to pitch to a 5 ERA and get 2 wins. That's I can get that wherever. Arcilla, I have, hitting prospects that I personally like. This guy was basically free. He was a scouting discovery. So he was just kind of he was a surprise. I wasn't supposed to have this guy to begin with, if you want to view it that way. So we traded him. This was tough. This was a guy I really did not want to lose in the deal. But I needed to give up somebody who's either Arcilla or Leiter. I had to choose Arcilla because I'm keeping Leiter. And then Robles, the reason I traded him, he just had one of the best seasons of his career. Best season since 2022. Still one of the best seasons of his career. Part of it, I think, is because he was playing half of his games at Coors Field. I traded him because his injury proneness has now gone down to fragile. I don't want to deal with that. I wanted to trade him while he still had some trade value, because now he's due $13 million each in the next 2 seasons. And I know that the Nationals were retaining some of that, but I just did not want to deal with the in the lineup, out of the lineup thing, because you can see that he was injured 3 times already in 2024. He was injured 3 times in 2023, injured 3 times in 2022, injured 3 times in 2021. I did not want to deal with that again, and defensively, he was not as good as I kind of wanted him to be. I want somebody a little better playing center field for the Rockies, so that's the goal. My goal, finding a center fielder, the offense is not as big of a factor. I need somebody that's going to give me elite defense in center field, playing half of the games in Coors Field, where you need to have a lot of range to be able to make the plays. And that's going to help the pitchers too. So really, we didn't lose anybody of value. Like trading Clark Schmidt, we already had too many pitchers as it was. So now we can try to get a pitcher, hopefully a lefty, to put into the starting rotation. In terms of the lineup, we didn't really lose. We just have to get a center fielder that can play defense, basically. And I think our offense is good enough to offset whatever offense we're going to lose with Robles. I mean, we could find maybe even a better option. Who knows? But right now, this is what we need. We need a first baseman who theoretically, it could be Miranda. I wouldn't be against Miranda playing first base. He wants to be a bench player. He was a good bench player for us last season, 821 OPS. I'm not against him getting some more playing time. But right now, I kind of have him as a backup. We have two solid backups right now, Miranda and Kyle Holder. We have a pretty solid infield with Magical, Devers, and Mondesi already. We have Tapia. So we need a couple outfielders. We need a designated hitter. We need another bench outfielder. We need a pitcher. And we need a couple bullpen pieces that we can get for cheap. So I did that deal because we really didn't lose a whole lot at the end of the day. We lost a guy that we didn't want, that was getting paid way too much for the production that he was giving us in Shohei Ohtani, a guy that I don't think would have opted out. So that's probably why I wasn't getting offered anything, because I don't think he's going to opt out of making $22 and $25 million. There's no way a team would give him that on the open market. So we get rid of Shohei Ohtani, who we didn't want anymore. We get rid of Clark Schmidt, who we can find a guy like this in trades or in free agency. Robles was tough to get rid of just because of the season he just had, but I'd like to think I could find a good center fielder to replace him that's not fragile, that I don't have to worry about missing time. Arcilla, as I said, that was the one that hurt because he was a pretty solid offensive prospect, although he wasn't on the top 100, which I was a little surprised about. He's only 20 years old. So we'll track his career. We'll see how he does. But as I said, this was a guy that wasn't even in our organization to begin with. When we started this, he was just a scouting discovery. So we got kind of lucky with him. So I figured I'll trade him if it gets me off the Ohtani contract. So now if we go to free agency, now we have $57 million to play with. I'd like to not give out all $57 million of that. I'd like to be a little smarter with the money this offseason. I'd like to just try to get guys that I think could play well, and just try to keep as much money as we can and just try to be more financially flexible going forward. We're going to try not to get into those Ohtani-type contracts because that trade was like pulling teeth. It really hurt to do. So, with that said, let's take a look at who's out there in terms of free agency. Let's take a look first at center fielders, guys that play center field. So, Ahmed Rosario, he is out there. He's looking for $22 million. He is not the kind of guy I'm looking for to play center field. So let's set our filters here. Ramon Laureano is not really the guy I'm looking for either. He would be an interesting corner outfielder, but let's see if we can find somebody better. All right, we found our lefty starting pitcher, and it was from a team within the division. We're taking a risk on him because he's coming off of a pretty substantial injury, but there's not a lot of good, and when I say good, I mean good lefty starting pitchers in this save right now. Young, old, there's just not a lot to be found, especially not in the free agent market. The best one there was Caleb Ferguson, and he wanted $17 million a year at least. And I did not want to give him that. He wanted a 4-year deal. I wasn't going to give him that. He's only 28 years old, but I wanted to try to go a little more for a better option if I was going to spend that type of money. And not only did I not spend that type of money, I got somebody better for cheaper. And that trade is with the San Diego Padres, and they really wanted to get rid of Adrian Morejon. He's on the trading block, I guess because he tore the flexor tendon in his elbow. So I'm going to take a risk on him, but at 25 years old, you can see he has 70 grade stuff, 55 grade movement, 45 grade control. OSA likes to control a lot more. And 3+ pitches, his 50 grade stamina is fine enough. This is the lefty that I think we've been looking for. This is what we need, I think, in a rotation. A really good lefty starting pitcher to complement hopefully the type of pitcher that Delgado will be. You can see that last year he did get injured. He was not very good before he got injured, a 5.34 ERA and FIP close to 7. But the previous 2 years he was passable. He's a power pitcher. He's not a ground baller. But my hope is that with a really good defensive catcher and some good defense behind Morejon, he can be a good option. You can see that his contract, the San Diego Padres are going to be retaining 20% of this, so we're not going to be paying him $16.8 million a year. We're actually only going to be paying him, if we go to salaries, we're only paying him $13 million. So I'd rather pay Morejon $9.8 million, $13 and $13 million than pay Caleb Ferguson $17+ million for the next 4 seasons. So I thought that that was a good use of our resources. So you see that we still have, our budget was $200 million. We're at $102.9 million for the player payroll, so we still have $35.9 million for free agents, and we filled our needs pretty well. I mean, if we go to Morjon here, I don't know if he's going to be our ace, but you see he'll be back in 2 to 3 months, so he'll be ready for the start of the season. I would maybe like to try to find a better option than Josh James maybe in the starting rotation. It would be kind of cool to have like a righty ace and then Morjon and then Delgado, Light, King. I think would be good. But right now we just need to find a DH. We need to sign a DH, just a big power guy. And then we need to try to get some more bench bats. So let's try to do that. All right, so the preseason begins today. I am glad that I didn't spend a lot of money this offseason because if you see the financial update, he decided to drop our team's budget. Our owner did so kindly from $200 million to $190 million. So I'm glad I tried to find some cheap options. So I'm going to take y'all through everything that I did. I'm sure you can already see some of what I did. So we'll start with the lineup. For the first baseman, I decided to sign Rowdy Tellez to, it's a 3-year deal. That's essentially a 1-year deal with 2 team options and cheap buyouts. Tellez last season with the Blue Jays put up an .839 OPS, 1.5 win player, 23 home runs, 64 runs batted in, 452 plate appearances, normal injury proneness. He's a spark plug, high adaptability, high work ethic. So we'll see how he does. As I said, this is basically just a 1-year deal, so not really long-term commitment here. For our new center fielder, we went with Brett Phillips to replace Victor Robles. He's a 3 true outcomes kind of player, and he only wanted a minor league contract. He's been a starter for each of the past 3 seasons with the Oakland Athletics. You can see that he's either going to hit a home run, he's going to take a walk, or he's going to strike out, but he has really, really good speed. He could be a 20-20 player in Colorado, maybe even 25-25 type of player. He had stolen over 30 bases in 2022 and 2023. It dropped off a little bit last year, but still that speed is nice to have, and that 70 grade range is better than what Robles had. 70 grade arm, 60 grade error. He's a captain, high leader, high work ethic. So I figured on a 1-year minor league contract, this would be a good center fielder to kind of get. And then for the right fielder, as I said, we're going to get this Danny Chacon guy, the guy that we offered a contract to in the first day of free agency. I'm really excited that we got this guy on a minor league contract. I think that he's going to be really, really good. Hopefully he is. OSA and our head scout seem to be in agreement. So this is a guy, he doesn't have a lot of speed, but he can run the bases well. He can steal bases. So I'm excited to have him in right field. And then we signed Jorge Soler to be our DH. Just a 1-year, $3.8 million contract. I looked through the trade market. I looked free agency. I looked everywhere, but I figured this was the best use of our assets. Just a 1-year deal for a DH that did pretty well last year, albeit in just limited time. 296 plate appearances. He had a .905 OPS, 20 home runs, 39 runs batted in. He was close to a 2-win player in that limited time, so hopefully he can do a little better getting some full-time work here. I remember one of the commenters said he'd like to see our Soler play to Coors, so I guess we'll find out. And then our bench pieces, we only signed one, and it was Andrew Stevenson to just be backup center fielder. You can see that he played a AAA all of 2024, but in 2023, he was close to a 1-win player in limited time, although that was with a really, really inflated BABIP. But still, we'll see if he can just provide us some type of value off the bench. We have most of the same bench guys. We have Romo, who's going to open up as our backup catcher because he just wants to be a bench player. We're going to let Ali Sanchez be our starting catcher just because he is similar defensively, but he has a little bit more oomph offensively, so we'll see if he does a little better for us. We have Miranda coming off the bench, Holder coming off the bench, and we're going to have Alec Burleson come off the bench here for us. He wanted to be up in the majors to be a bench player, and I think he's probably about ready. He did really well last year as a 2-win player at AAA in Memphis, so I think he's about ready. And then maybe he can take Tapia's spot once Tapia's contract runs out at the end of the year. Maybe Burleson will be our new left fielder going into 2026. But that's what we did offensively. In terms of the pitching staff, we went through the Morjon thing. We also ended up signing this lefty to a 1-year deal worth $11.4 million with some bonuses in there. Yoshimitsu Mori, he is outspoken, but I wanted to get another lefty in the starting rotation, see if that helps us out at all. And I think on a 1-year deal, this was probably the best we could get for a lefty. I didn't want to go any more than 1 year on a pitcher, so that's why we got him. So now our rotation, we have 2 lefties and 3 righties, so it's pretty diverse. It's more diverse than it has been in the past. Let me just get rid of that pitch count. So in terms of the bullpen, we're still looking for a true closer, I guess you could say. I don't really like using the word closer, but we did sign Aroldis Chapman to be one of our setup guys, a lefty in the bullpen. He wants to be a closer, so we could always do that, but I'd like to kind of keep him as a setup guy. He's outspoken too. He has a lot of bad traits, but I wanted to bring him in because for the most part, he's been pretty solid in this save, so I wanted to bring in Aroldis Chapman to share setup duties with Mason Fox, who had a really good season in 2024. We also signed Taylor Rogers to be another lefty pitcher in our bullpen, so we have 2 of them now. He also expects to be the closer, but I kind of want him to be middle relief. Coming off of a bit of a rough season, a 5.12 ERA, but he had a 3.60 FIP, so hopefully he can kind of rein it back in. Of course, that'll be difficult pitching a little bit in Colorado. I don't know what I'm going to do with Josh James. I kind of want to keep Ryan Feltner as my long relief guy. I could honestly put him in as a starter too if one of these guys doesn't work out because he has the stamina, he has the pitches, but I'm going to keep him in the bullpen for right now. But we still do need that top of the end of the bullpen kind of pitcher, but I figured I'd get one for cheap somehow before the season starts, and that was what I did basically over the offseason. Those were the additions that we made. So if we go one more thing here, Hall of Fame voting results, CC Sabathia gets in his first year, 76%. Manny Ramirez, 64% in his 9th year. Ichiro gets 55% in his first year. Maurer, 52.3% in his 2nd year. Billy Wagner drops off the ballot. He only got 33% of the vote this year. And then Andrew Jones, Troy Tulowitzki, Carlos Gonzalez, Chris Iannetta, Ben Zobrist, Irvin Santana, Adam Jones all drop off the ballot here. Most of them in their first year. Andrew Jones was in his 8th year. So that was that. That's basically everything I did in the offseason. So if we take a look here at our front office, we only have $3.7 million now for free agents. I want to have a little more going into the season, but our budget got cut by $10 million, which I wasn't very happy about. So that's why we don't have a lot of money. Maybe we would have had $13 million going into the 2025 season. But I think this is good for where we need to be. I think this is a team that can play around 500 baseball, and we'll see if they can do any more. As I said, I wanted to kind of prioritize financial flexibility long term, which is why I signed a lot of guys to just 1-year deals. That way we have that flexibility going into next year. And then I think that it was a good point that one of the commenters made, that we have to really know when we want to go for it. And as I said, this is a team that I think could play 500 baseball. We'll see if they can do any better, but I think that this, clearly we're not going all in, but there's still enough pieces here to be a competitive baseball team, I think, especially once we get that final bullpen piece. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for watching. Not sure when the next episode will be up, as I explained at the start of the episode. It could be this week, could be next week, I'm not sure, but it will be coming. The series is not over. Don't worry. I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for all the support. Close to 500 subscribers, which is insane. Would never have expected that. So I want to thank you all for that. And I'll catch you guys again in the next episode.